Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today, myself and Sophie are teaming up as we rank the Premier League stadiums for the upcoming 23-24 season. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, me too. The Premier League fixtures have come out for the new season. I'm really intrigued to see each team playing each other and going to each other's stadiums. Like I say, guys, this is opinions based, so you might have completely different opinions to us. Do share them down below in the comments. Don't hate us. Like I say, it's a bit of fun. We'll try and take a few things into consideration. It would be boring to just rank it on size alone. We'll try and chuck some character in there and atmosphere in there and give our thoughts on those stadiums anyway. Like I say, guys, get your thoughts down below. Let me know which stadiums are your favourites. Do make sure, of course, to hit that like button. We'll go for 444 likes on this one. It's free to like, and please do subscribe. 75% of you haven't hit the subscribe button, so come on, hit that red button. Do it now. So then, Sophie, we have got a tier list. We're going to do it quite simply with 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15 and 16 to 20. 20 very different stadiums in here, so we're going to be teaming up for this one. This is both of our opinions put together. We might have differing opinions and therefore need to meet in the middle. Let's start with Villa Park. I want to see your thoughts on this one. You've done this before.
I have. We've done it together as well.
We have.
Do you know, I really like Villa Park. I like the big stand as you're going up, the steps leading to Villa Park. I think very traditional looking, and I really rate it. The only thing that I didn't like when we went, in the away end, they weren't serving alcohol. So is that going to knock them down a place? Maybe. Yeah,
I've been to Villa Park a few times, and a couple of times I've been with yourself. I mean, we saw Stevenage win at Villa Park this season.
Fond memories.
That was brilliant. One thing we'll agree on, though, is the stadium is fantastic. Stooped in history. The fans are some of the best in the country as well. From an away fan's point of view, I don't really like where the away end is situated, but you can understand that means the home fans get a better angle. But we were kind of like down the side right in the corner, and you kind of have to look sort of diagonally just to watch the game. I didn't really like that view, but the stadium, one of the best in the country for history, for character, atmosphere. They're going to be seeing European football there this season. Where would you put it?
Do you know what? Either in the top or 6 to 10 for me.
I agree.
They've got to be in either of those two.
Do you know what? We can maybe shuffle things around a little bit, but
okay, stick in the top for now then.
Really? I was going to say, well, 6 to 10. Go on.
I'll stick in the top for now, and if we change it, we change it.
Okay, Villa's going in the top for now. It might shuffle a little bit, but it's definitely at least in the top 7, so either in the top or the second top. Let's move on to Bournemouth. So the Vitality. It's no longer the smallest ground in the Premier League because of Luton Town's Kenilworth Road. We'll come on to them in just a bit. The Vitality is small. I think it's about 11,000. Yeah. What's your thoughts? What positives can you say about this ground?
What about the ground? I was going to say the location's good, but that's nothing to do with the ground.
Decent
make
away.
a nice weekend of it.
Yeah, decent away day by the seaside, I guess. It's all right. I mean, I think if this ground was in League One, it's my kind of ground because it's got 4 nice stands. It's not a bowl stadium. I just think because we're looking at it from a Premier League point of view, it's just small and
yeah. I do get sick of the bowl. Everyone's going for like the bowl kind of stadium, so it is nice to have like the 4 stands. However, exactly as you said, you would look at that ground and think League One. So for Premier League, it's going to have to be bottom for me.
I agree. It's a shame because I like Bournemouth as a club, and like imagine like they stay up again this year. I mean, this ground being in the Premier League for quite a few years now is incredible to see. Yeah. But it is quite small, and I don't know. We'll put it in the bottom 5, but we do like you, Bournemouth, nonetheless. Wolves. I like Molineux. I've only been once. What I didn't like when I went was the away fans were right on the side and really low down, and it felt like we had a rubbish point of view. But decent fan base, a nice stadium with decent history as well. What do you think of it? Yeah,
so for me, I've never actually been, but it's a very difficult place for teams to go and get a result. So that says a lot about like the atmosphere. And I feel like that's got to be accounted for. I don't mind it as a ground itself. I don't think it's a bad ground. However, it's not going to be one of my top ones. No,
I like the colour scheme as well, though. You don't get too many sort of golden sort of stadiums. For me, it's one of the middle 2. We'll be generous and maybe put it in 6 to 10 for now.
I was going to go the lower one.
Do you know what? You influenced the Villa one. I'm going to put it in 6 to 10. We might move it, but I think I enjoyed my trip to Wolves, but when I went, it was about 9 years ago now, so I need to go again. Newcastle, so I'm sorry, but I'm not having you not put it in the top 5.
Yeah, no, it's going to have to go in the top 5.
Brilliant stadium.
Fan base alone, stadium, location of it. I really want to go, actually. It looks amazing.
Oh.
So, yeah, top 5 for me.
Top 1 for me. I've been to Newcastle, only went once, and when I went, Newcastle lost 3-0 to Leicester City. So I didn't really get to see Newcastle with their fans at their best because it was such a bad day for them at the office. But it was still an incredible atmosphere despite them losing 3-0. So just imagine what it's like being at St James's Park when they're winning and scoring goal after goal after goal. Their fans are mental. I mean, whether they're at home or on the road, Newcastle fans travel in their numbers. I mean, some of the most passionate fans in the country, maybe the most.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I've always said I'd like to go and experience it. So for me, as I said, got to be top 5.
Yeah, just love the design of it, and it's going to be great to see it in the Champions League next year. West Ham, so this one splits opinion because it's a brilliantly big stadium and it looks like a Premier League facility. But
I don't like it.
It's the fans
too
seem
far away.
Yeah, the fans seem
too far
away. You might as well have Mo Farah running around the rings like.
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
To have the athletics there. So bottom tier for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm going to put that out there now. You can disagree with me, but just because of how far away it is, it doesn't feel like you're at a football game. It's an amazing ground, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's down the bottom because I don't think it's a good ground. I think it's amazing, but for me, it's just not one of the top grounds.
I agree. If you're looking at which Premier League stadium would be the best to hold loads of sort of sporting events, it's probably this one.
Yeah.
It's multi-purpose, but for football, I like my fans right next to the pitch. And one thing I will say is Upton Park was an incredible stadium that had so much character, so much history. And although the London Stadium isn't terrible, that's not what we're saying. It's not one of our favourites.
Yeah.
Brentford next, so this is like a humble stadium. It's not the smallest, it's the 3rd smallest. It holds 17,000, which is just right for Brentford. I can't say either of us have been. I did go to the old Griffin Park, which was Brentford's old ground, and Brentford's fans are pretty good. They can make a bit of noise. The colour scheme's quite interesting. It's like really sort of multicoloured, this stadium. What do you reckon? It's the right size for Brentford, isn't it?
Yeah, for Brentford it is, to be honest. So you can't really say they need to have a much bigger ground for the Prem because it's filling a need at the moment. It's not one of the grounds that I'd look at and be like, I need to tick that off. So for me, I'm going to put it in the 11 to 15.
Okay, yeah.
It's not going to be bottom for me, it's not going to be top, so around mid-table.
I think I'll agree with you on that one and say Brentford Stadium's not trying to be, right, we're the biggest, we've got the best character or anything like that, but it beats Bournemouth for capacity. It beats West Ham for having fans close to the pitch. Yeah. I think it's just a nice Premier League stadium, not trying to be one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Brighton next, Sophie, the Amex. It's a bit of a bowl, but a nice looking one.
Yeah, it's not a bad bowl, but it's not the best bowl either. So I think another 11 to 15. I think, again, similar with Bournemouth, I like the location of Brighton. Like, you can make a good weekend of it, being near the seaside, and I think that just does give good vibes. Like Blackpool, I know I'm talking a different league here, but Blackpool ground wasn't the best, but just the whole weekend it makes it a good experience, and I feel like you've got to take that into account. Yeah, look, the city or town makes the away day, I suppose. I think a few people have said though that Brighton's ground's not near many things. I think it's a little bit out the way, but it's a nice stadium. It's a Premier League stadium, although it's not one of the biggest Premier League stadiums. It's probably just right for Brighton as well. And I think I'm going to agree with you there. 11 to 15, decent character. What I do like about it is the away end is behind the goal. That's where I feel like an away end should be. Right, so Goodison, Everton are going to be leaving this one soon. I must say I really want to get to it. I don't know if I will because Coventry aren't in the Premier League next season, and I don't know if I'll get my hands on tickets for a game otherwise, but you know, 6 to 10.
Yeah,
because of the history.
Lots of history.
Yeah,
I'd be tempted to push it 1 to 5 because the fans made such a difference in the previous 2 seasons for them getting those results over the line. I mean, we've seen lots of Everton fans protesting at Goodison. We've seen fans running on the pitch when they've stayed up on the final day. So much history here, though. They've won league titles. They've won cup competitions. It's been around for ages.
I am torn on this one now, actually. It's got to be either the top 2 for me.
We'll put it in there for now.
Okay.
Oops.
Oh, there we go.
And we'll see if we move it after. I think, do you know what? I'd almost put it on a par with Villa Park, but because we haven't been to Goodison, we can't say if it's much better or worse. The City ground, Soph.
See, we've done this, and I feel like for me, it's a good ground. Fans is what make it for me.
Yeah.
Like the atmosphere before the game. To be fair, the atmosphere during the game sometimes as well. So for me, 6 to 10.
For you, 6 to 10.
You're
okay.
going to say top 5.
Well, do you know what it is though, Soph? With this ground, I think so much goes for it. You've got, I like Nottingham as a city. I think it's got a lot of history. The fans, I mean, I said how passionate they are.
Yeah.
I've been a couple times. You went last season, and as for a stadium, it's it's a nice stadium, about 30,000, which is a decent sort of size for Nottingham Forest. Lots of history, and it's the stadium's got its own song. The Mull of Kintyre song. They sing, "Oh, City Ground." I've been when I've seen Nottingham Forest win. When you went last season, they lost, and when they won, when I went, their fans when they score and the celebrations and the songs. I think this is really one I'm tempted to put in the 1 to 5, but you've said 6 to 10.
Then.
We're going to put it in there. I just, honestly, Forest Ground for me is one of my personal favourites. I know it's not the biggest, but the City Ground has a lot going for it. Right on the River Trent. You're going in there for now. Old Trafford, Soph. This is a weird one because it's the biggest stadium in the league, but what you will get is tourists.
You get a lot of tourists, and a little bit like Man City as well. Like you see like the atmosphere, although I do think Man United has better atmosphere than Man City, and I do feel like that plays a bit of a part. You see when you're celebrating a goal, in that moment you don't think, oh, I want to film this. You're just in that moment. However, because they're not proper fans, some of them, you'll see in like the pictures they're all got their phones out. And I feel like that ruins it for me a little bit.
Do you know what really annoyed me? When they had Ronaldo a season ago, every time he scores they all got their phones out. Soon it's just like, no, come on, like this is not really what I want to see. There are very passionate Man United fans out there.
Oh yeah.
And when I tell you what I did really, which kind of changed my perception on some Man United fans, is when we went to the City Ground last year.
They were very, very loud.
How good were the Man United away fans?
I was impressed.
Man United's away fans at Nottingham Forest last year was so good, and I feel like at away games they will be really good because there's 3,000 of them. They're going to be loyal Man United supporters, whereas if you go to Old Trafford, 75,000, and there's going to be a big portion that are tourists that aren't going to be singing the songs and going to be eating pizza out of the boxes. Great stadium for history.
I was going to say history.
But what do we say?
6 to 10.
Yeah.
And I know they need a little bit of work doing on their stadium as well. Obviously, that happens every so many years. But
it's so tricky though, Soph.
So historical.
I'm there like this. Come on, can't we have a...
Do you know what? Put it top 5.
Oh, are we?
We might change it.
We might have to, yeah. What a stadium though. I mean, I feel like I'm changing my mind every second on it. I think the thing is with this one, despite us saying there's tourists and this, that and the other that's wrong with it, if we got to the Premier League, so Man United away is one would be like
want to go there.
Yeah, that's the sort of away day you're most looking forward to, isn't it? Man United would put you there for now, but there's a push-pull factor. Man City, so I've not been, but you have.
I've been, yeah. It was a few seasons ago now, and they're playing Hull City at home, so that's how we easily got a ticket. We actually got a ticket on the same day, which is quite poor, really. And the atmosphere was dreadful. I know it was Hull City at home, but still, it was poor. This is going back a few years now. For me, it is a great ground, don't get me wrong. I actually was very, very impressed with it. I thought it was amazing facility, but just because of the atmosphere alone, it's not going to be near the top for me.
I'll let you place this one because, I mean, what I will say about Man City's ground, obviously, one, I haven't been, but it's got connotations of being the Empty-Had, hasn't it? And like you say about being able to get a ticket on the day. In terms of, as a club, they are building towards trying to catch up to the likes of Man United and Liverpool, and what they haven't got at the moment that those have got is the sheer fan bases. But they are slowly getting there because they are more. The more successful you get, the more fans you will attract from around the world. But what do you reckon? It's
either 6 to 10 or 11 to 15 for me. I'll put them in 6 to 10 for now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Burnley, so Turf Moor. Once again, I haven't been, but you have.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I was in the away end. It's not a bad away end, to be honest. Behind the goal you get a good view of the pitch. However, one female toilet for the whole stand. That was
one female toilet?
Yeah, that was pretty poor.
Disgusting, Burnley.
Yeah, that was a long queue. I won't forget that. Do you know what? The atmosphere was all right. It's quite a nice ground, actually. And yeah, I thought, okay, I was expecting not a lot, so I went in with low expectations and I was pleasantly surprised. So for that, the atmosphere, the fans, I'm not going to have you near the top, but 11 to 15, you're not in the bottom for me.
Would you say it's more of a Premier League or Championship ground?
I would say no, Championship. I was going to say Premier League, like lower half.
I'll let you place it because I haven't been.
I'll say 11 to 15 for now, but I might change that.
It looks a decent stadium. Lots of history.
Yeah.
I think it's the 4th smallest, so it's not the smallest. It's not in the 3 smallest, but it's about 20-odd thousand, which is probably about right for Burnley. Stamford Bridge, Chelsea. This is an interesting one. Chelsea's ground, Stamford Bridge. I've not been inside this one either, to be honest, but I have been outside it. Our thoughts on it from what we know is it can have tourists as well, like we said with the other big top 6 clubs. But it's not as big as Manchester United. It's not screaming at us like, right, we're trying to be the biggest. The colour scheme, I quite like the blue. Not many blue, sort of just navy blue sort of stadiums out there. The away fans are sort of in the corner.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to go somewhere in the middle for this. Until we actually go, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, I agree. And you can only go off what you see on the TV and what you hear when people have been. And to be fair, I don't know anyone that's had a bad experience there. So, yeah, somewhere in the middle for me.
Should we... let's put it there for now.
6 to 10, because decent capacity.
Just even it out a bit. Selhurst Park next, Crystal Palace ground. Crystal Palace, Selhurst Park, I think it holds about 25,000 or so. It's a historic stadium, and one thing I know about this stadium is the atmosphere can be really good. The Palace fans behind the goal, bouncing, can make a massive difference. The away end is on the side, down the side, sort of in the corner really. That stand with the away fans doesn't look the best. I think this ground's okay. I think the atmosphere probably carries it. I think the atmosphere stands out more than the look of the stadium. I'd say it's a top of the range Championship / bottom of the range Premier League stadium. So I'm tempted to go in one of these. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, not bottom for me, purely for the atmosphere. So
okay, we'll go there.
Yeah, I think that's about fair.
Fulham, Craven Cottage. This is an interesting one. Fulham have been doing a bit of work to their stadium. One thing I don't like about Craven Cottage is the clappers. I don't like that sort of thing. But it's a nice looking stadium. The location of it is really interesting, you know, like right on the Thames. As I say, they've been building up one of the new stands. The away fans go behind the goal slightly to the side, which I quite like as well. I think this ground, it screams sort of like my childhood watching Match of the Day when I was a kid, and Fulham being in the Premier League and teams going to Craven Cottage, and I just quite like this stadium. It's got a bit of character to it. I don't think it's screaming out as one of the best, but I think maybe in the 11 to 15.
Yeah, I was going to say 11 to 15. I don't think it's not one that you go, oh, do you know, I don't really fancy that one. I would like to do it, and to be fair, I did have the chance in the Championship, just wasn't free. But yeah, I wouldn't say like the atmosphere is amazing. I agree with you on the clappers. That's not my kind of thing either. However, not top, not bottom for me. So where you place them, to be honest.
5 teams left, so we might have to do some shuffling. Anfield, Liverpool. This one, it is a top 6 club. Top 6, we'll say like that, because it's not always the top 6, by the way. But Liverpool are a massive club. This has got fantastic history and tradition. As we said with some of the other big clubs, we must mention it can have tourists. Maybe not so much as the others. I do feel like Liverpool have got a really passionate fan base, and especially when it's the Scousers, they are just like some of the most mental fans in the country. And this stadium can have an electric atmosphere, especially, as they say, on those European nights under the lights. I don't know, Soph, do we say it's better than Old Trafford?
I would, but that's because I prefer Liverpool to Man United, so I'm trying not to let that influence me.
It's not bigger than Manchester United.
It's not, no. Again, they did add a bit of an extension to boost the numbers a little bit. You do hear some comments saying that the atmosphere is not as good as they make out, but every video I've seen, it looks insane, and another one I'd love to go to.
We'll
knock United out.
I'm sorry, United, you've been relegated. Old Trafford, obviously a fantastic stadium. Anfield, fantastic stadium. Just really hard to split those. Arsenal, I've been to the Emirates. I like it. I don't think it's the best ground in the league, but I think it's in and around that top 5. But I'm trying to work out who we're going to knock out if we're going to put them in there. Would you say they're in the top 5?
I wouldn't actually. No? I'd stick them same as United.
Okay.
I know you can't both have a 6th place, but 6th, 7th place. Again, history, another big ground where a lot of people will be like, oh, I want to go to the Emirates. Just like the name itself is very, very appealing. And I don't know, it's hard because you can only have 5 in the top 5, but it's definitely up there for me as well.
It certainly is. This is a very tricky video to do, I must say. When I went to the Emirates, I enjoyed it, even though my team Coventry got battered by Arsenal in the FA Cup, as you'd probably expect. Big away end. I do like the size of the away end. Probably one of the biggest away ends in this league, which means more away fans can go. Good size, 60,000, good stadium. Arsenal fans will say, you know, Highbury was a fantastic stadium before this. I think both of them have different character. Both of them have good atmospheres. I think the Emirates is a good stadium, but we're going to just put it around 6th place. Let's move on to Bramall Lane, Soph. I really like this one. I feel like this is one of the best in the Championship and maybe middle of the range in the Premier League.
Yeah, I wouldn't say bottom in the Premier League, to be honest. I feel like that would be a bit harsh. Been there a couple of times now, obviously in the away end, and yeah, it was good. Like, the atmosphere was good.
It's about a 30,000 seater stadium, Soph. But what's weird is, even though it's slightly smaller than Coventry's ground, when you're in there, I feel like it feels bigger. The stands for the home fans go so far up.
I quite like that look, though.
Yeah, and I like the stadium itself. They've got one big stand, I think it's called the Cop, where they can make a lot of noise. They sing Greasy Chip Butty, and atmosphere really passionate. I remember going to Bramall Lane in League One, actually, Soph, and they had a massive crowd then. Really good fans as well. I went then as well. And what I like about this stadium, as opposed to maybe Brighton's, is it's not a bowl. This stadium is stooped in history. It's got 4 big stands. And
we're going to do a switcheroo with Brighton then.
Do you know what? I feel like we can sneak it into 10th place.
Oh, but who's going to go?
Who do we get rid of here?
Oh,
come on.
Man City.
Man City.
Sorry.
Because what you said about Man City earlier didn't sound great, you know. Oh, we need to relegate one of these now.
Brighton then. It's Brighton or Burnley for me. I'm not touching Brentford or Crystal Palace.
You choose Brighton or Burnley.
Go on, Brighton.
Brighton, you're relegated, sorry. Right, we've got 2 more. We're going to still have to shuffle this a bit. Tottenham Hotspur, Sophie. This is a tricky one. Where are we going to put this?
To be honest, it's not one of my top ones. No? I liked White Hart Lane. Again, I've not been myself, but I don't know, I just feel like that was Tottenham's ground. And now, I mean, it's obviously a nice ground they're at now, but I feel like it's lost some of that feeling. This is a hard one. It's
a very impressive bowl, but it's a bowl nonetheless. The away end looks pretty decent in the corner. The stands sort of behind the goals go up quite nicely. I like the design of this. It's not your conventional bowl. We will say it's a very special bowl, this one. But like you say, White Hart Lane had all the history, I suppose, but it is built literally right where White Hart Lane was. Somewhere in the middle, maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to swap out Burnley. Sorry, Burnley, you're putting
Spurs in this one?
Yeah, I wouldn't put them any higher than that.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So Burnley are getting relegated.
What would you change? Maybe Wolves?
Oh, yeah, maybe Spurs for Wolves.
Okay, go on then.
That's hurting me because I like Wolves. I'm going to put Wolves 11th then. Yeah, Spurs can go in there. I think it is just a very impressive stadium, but I just like some of the ones with more history to them. Finally, it's Luton Town, Sophie, and I just want to... Yeah, we have both been to this one. I want to clear a few things up because a lot of people are laughing at this stadium as if it's some sort of joke, but this does have character, and it's a nice story, what it represents.
Yeah, and I feel like some people... Do you know what? I'm going the other way. I feel like some people say, oh, I can't wait to do Kenilworth Road, which I was one of those people. But as soon as you walk through that away end and you walk through someone's garden and you're in the actual ground and you can only see about half the pitch because of all the blooming stanchions, it takes away some of the thrill of it. So for me, it is going to go bottom. I know they're having some work done because obviously it needs some work doing, but again, I do like the character, so I do feel harsh putting them in bottom, but it's not a Premier League ground for me.
Yeah, I agree.
And obviously, it's not a Premier League ground,
I agree. I mean, technically it is this season, and maybe next season. But yes, no, I agree with that. Like I say, the character, the history that they've been there since the National League, that represents a great story. Luton Town, when they do move away eventually, will always say Kenilworth Road, what a journey we had when we were playing there, great history. When I went, I actually went in the home end because, like I say, Rosie, my partner's family are from Luton, and we sat in the home end, and I was sat literally behind a pylon.
You had one as well?
I was like this all game. So that was annoying. And like we said...
They've got some benches as well. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a bit like, a little bit Sunday League, isn't it? Some of it. But, like I say, great character. It's going to be great fun to see it in the Premier League. Yeah. They have had to drag it up to Premier League standards. And Luton Town are ultimately looking at moving to a bigger stadium away from Kenilworth Road because they can't really expand. But... despite us putting it in the bottom because it's a 10,000 seater stadium and it does need work doing to it, we like it.
Yeah, I do like it, to be honest. Fond memories.
There you go, guys. That wraps up today's video. Do let us know your thoughts down below. If you support one of these teams, where would you put your stadium and where would you put the other stadiums? Please do make sure to drop a like and hit the subscribe button. We will see you all in the next one. Peace out.